Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Pup. We are coming back with week 1 of the KCDL Ubers Draft League. If you guys did not check out our draft analysis that went up last weekend, and you better go do so just so you get a little bit familiar with the team and why it is what it is. But this week we are facing off against the Pokemon Professor and the Drunken Fist Decidueye, good friend of the channel. We played them in the BBR D League, and we also play them next week in the ICP, so they're definitely going to be around. And we're going to see if we can end up taking a nice W this week. They have a very, very scary team, as you can see on the screen here, but I want to get off to a really nice start in this league. Really important to start off 1-0. It's important to go 1-0 every week. That's what they say in football too, so I got to apply that here. Make sure we're just going 1-0 every week. Build up that record and hopefully have a great season with my team. But yeah, their team is very scary. They have a Dragapult, which is just faster than basically everything on my side except for the Deoxys speed. I'm very much expecting Choice Scarf to outrun a Booster Fluttermane or Booster Iron Boulder, because both of those Pokemon absolutely tear through the Pokemon Professor's team. They also have Alolan Persian, which definitely does not come. It's not good in this matchup. Ogerpon is solid, especially if they want to bring it as a spike setter or as a physically defensive option to deal with my Palafin. It also deals with like the Great Tusk decently, so like Rocky Helmet Synthesis set makes a lot of sense to me. They have Tera Thundurus, which is a very, very scary Pokemon for me to deal with here. I don't switch into the combination of Electric Stab and then even like Grass Knot, Psychic, whatever else they want to bring that's not even regarding their Terra type. It makes it really scary for me to have to deal with that. Also have Pheasantipity, which can just like poison, rack up that toxic chain damage, also be a Calm Mind setter. Their second Uber, besides Dragapult, is going to be Darkrai, which is very, very scary, being used in the BBL finals by the eventual winner, OG Albina. That's kind of what my team is modeled off of, is like a mixture of OG Albinas and John Jr.'s teams, just a little bit, smacking them together, seeing what I can get with my 2 Ubers and my Terra Captain. But yeah, very scary Pokemon. It can do a lot of different things. Can be ran physically or specially. It can also just be like a nice like bulky Stealth Rock user with just like bulky offense, which their team doesn't really lean into that much, but I could see it in this matchup. They also have Deoxys Defense, which can also set up hazards versus me and teleport out, which is scary if we give them opportunity to come into like something like Thundurus or the Dragapult that really destroy my team. They have Blastoise, which I do see more as a physically or specially defensive Pokemon in this week. Physically defensive can deal with Palafin, specially defensive can deal with something like Fluttermane if they are Assault Vested. So I expect it to come in one of those 2 ways, but we could also see a Shell Smash variant, which if they get that off could be very scary for my team to deal with, although I don't think they have any great ways to one-shot my Ubers. They also have Hitmontop, which is a nice Intimidate Pokemon that can be used for the Kyurem Black. It also has Mach Punch, Bullet Punch that make that thing really tough. It also can help against my Iron Boulder, so I have to be worried about that. Just another spinner on their team. They have Porygon 2, which I think is one of the best Pokemons in this matchup for their team. Especially because I'm not bringing Terra Fighting Iron Boulder this week, which would be my best way to take care of it. It really just lives hits from everything and is really annoying to click Thunder Wave. It does a lot of damage with Tri-Attack versus my team, especially with Analytic when my entire team is basically faster than it, and it just recovers off the damage. I don't have the greatest knockoff users to knock off that Eviolite. It's really just Great Tusk that threatens it. So it definitely puts me in a world of pain. And the last Pokemon on their team is going to be the Piloswine, which can be a rocker, it can be an Ice Shard Pokemon, but I don't really think it comes into this game. I think we're most likely seeing like definitely Dragapult, definitely the Dialga, definitely the Thundurus, and then 3 of like Ogerpon, Blastoise, Hitmontop, Porygon 2, Pheasantipity sort of thing. But without further ado, let's get into the team that I'm bringing for this week. Starting off with my Terra Captain, Iron Boulder. We are Terra grounded this week just because we absolutely tear through their team. It's really nice, especially for the Dialga, being able to basically one-shot them from full. If we end up getting any sort of chip on them, like a potential flip turn from Palafin or a U-turn from Corviknight, I think they should be in range if they are not just incredibly, incredibly physically defensive. And even so, I don't think they should be able to one-shot me from full unless they have some crazy sort of coverage. But we are just Mighty Cleave plus Earthquake because that's all we need to hit through their team. Also Taunt and Swords Dance. Taunt really just stops like the Deoxys from doing anything that they want to do. It also stops the Porygon from recovering if we do end up being in a situation against that Pokemon. So it could help me out there. And then Swords Dance is really nice if I need to set up in the face of something, you know, Taunt plus Swords Dance in front of Porygon. Potentially, you know, I could set up in front of Deoxys. Even, you know, Dialga sometimes I can set up in front of if they don't have any faster Pokemon on their side. But we are, you know, EV'd to outrun everything on their team with the booster energy into our speed. The only thing that outruns us is a Scarf Dragapult, which I do very much expect in this matchup. We do live any one hit from them, and the Mighty Cleave should be able to tear through the Dragapult anyways. So they really just need to get some chip on this Pokemon to be able to take it out, but it looks very, very incredibly solid versus their team, and I hope it can absolutely destroy them. Next up on the squad is going to be my Corviknight here. We are Wakanberry set with basically max Spadef. This actually takes on Thundurus decently well. I mean, I don't switch in very well to it, but I can switch in on like a Grass Knot or a Psychic if they predict my Great Tusk to ever come out. Because I don't think they should just be throwing off the Thunderbolts willy-nilly when Great Tusk can come in, and potentially be like a Rindo or something and be able to live a hit and a Revenge Kill. But I don't know, that's kind of like too metagamey. But basically, the idea is that if they Tera out of their electric typing, Brave Bird is a 2-hit KO on them. I don't care if I need to sack my Corviknight to get rid of that Pokemon or at least weaken it. You know, if I get it down to like that 50%, then I can knock it out with Jet Punch from Palafin later in the game, which is really nice. But this Pokemon also deals decently with the Dragapult. We have Mirror Armor, so the Shadow Ball cannot drop my special defense. And then, you know, I just roost up on it. They don't really do that much damage unless they lock themselves into Fire Blast, especially if they are just that Choice Scarf set and not Choice Specs, which can absolutely do some damage, but I really don't expect it. We just have Brave Bird plus Body Press as our damaging moves. U-Turn is really solid as well. I'm just going to play straightforward against that Thundurus. I'm just going to click Brave Bird, Body Press, maybe U-Turn in the face of it, because I don't care if this Pokemon goes down to it. I mean, it might make my Dragapult matchup a little bit weaker, but I need to at least get some chip on that Thundurus for nothing. The third Pokemon on my team is going to be our first Uber, which is Fluttermane. This Pokemon looks absolutely destructive in this matchup. They don't have a single switch into the combination of Moonblast plus Psyshock, besides potentially fully Spadef Porygon 2. Obviously, they can kind of switch into the Pheasantipity as well if they are Fizdef to take the Psyshocks. But if they don't bring that Pokemon, or if they are just like more Spadef, then it really does not want to take Psyshocks from me at all. And I can also weaken it with a lot of other members on my squad. But to deal with the Porygon, we are Substitute plus Calm Mind, so I can get around any like T-Waves, anything like that. And when I'm +1 with the Calm Mind, they don't have any way to break my sub. I'm not even sure if Shadow Ball does, but definitely at +2 Calm Mind, they cannot break it since we do have a decent amount of HP investment. We have, you know, not as much speed as you would expect. I really, you know, don't care about just straight up outrunning that Dragapult because I do feel like it's going to be choiced. So I'm making sure that I outrun that Ogerpon. Just gives me a lot of HP with the leftovers to be able to set up Calm Minds on potentially their whole squad. And once that Dragapult is dealt with, we outspeed everything on their squad except for any other Choice Scarfers, which, I mean, I could see one or two, maybe like an Ogerpon or even the Thundurus, but we do take a lot of hits, especially on the special side, which their team does lean into a lot. I have to be weary about the Bullet Punch from Hitmontop if they do bring that Pokemon, which would make a lot of sense. Even, you know, Ice Shard from Piloswine, if they bring that, does a decent amount of damage because Fluttermane is very, very frail on the special side or on the physical side. But, you know, I feel like I could be able to win the game with this. I just have to, you know, get it in the right end game, maybe get a substitute up, or just, you know, play a little bit better around their Hitmontop plus Dragapults. The fourth member of my team is going to be my Palafin here. I'm an Assault Vest set here, which makes sure that I can eat any one hit from the Thundurus, which is really nice. It also can eat hits from the Dialga, switch in, click Drain Punch, which is pretty solid versus their team. They don't have a great switch in besides the Dragapult, and I could very well be running Ice Punch on this Pokemon. Maybe I should have to be able to absolutely hit the Dragapult because I don't have a great way to do it. But with the Assault Vest, we should be able to eat, you know, any 2 hits from that Pokemon. We should be able to eat hits from the Dialga, eat a hit from Thundurus, eat hits from Persian if they bring that. If they bring like Shell Smash, Special Blastoise, I can eat hits from that. The Porygon, I can eat hits from that and be able to, you know, threaten that out with Close Combat or Drain Punch. So it's really like a catch-all versus a lot of stuff on their team, and it's just really nice to have this sort of priority to make sure I can revenge kill, stuff that really threatens my team. That Thunderous, the Ogerpon if they are like more offensive and they are chipped, the Dragapult also if they're like chipped down, we can end up taking that thing out. But it is a Pokemon that's pretty expendable from my side. I am going to have to get the 0 to hero up, which is easier said than done in this matchup. It's actually pretty hard. I mean, the flip turns are very free if we end up getting the Palafin in, but getting Palafin in is a different story, especially if they predict my lead and go something like Ogerpon turn 1. Puts me in a pretty tough spot. But I do like this Pokemon here. The Assault Vest just makes it so it can actually do some work in this matchup and not just get one shot. Hopefully it'll be able to do a good amount for us. Next up, we have another Assault Vest user, which is going to be our Great Tusk, which it can just rapid spin if they want to set up spikes or anything, which I do expect versus my team. They don't have like the best spin blocker, only being Dragapult, which really does not want to come in and take an Earthquake or get knocked off. But I could definitely see them trying to spin block with it. But if they do, we are Assault Vest, so they can never really revenge kill us unless we are very, very low, or if they're like Hex and I'm statused somehow. But yeah, this Pokemon looks pretty solid. I mean, just being able to click Earthquake versus like Fezandipity versus the Dialga makes me feel like I'm in a pretty decent spot. Even though we are slower than both those Pokemon, we should be able to easily eat at least one hit. And then, getting both those things out of the way, either make like my Fluttermane look a lot better, maybe Iron Boulder look pretty solid, maybe, make the Palafin even decent versus them. And then we have Close Combat on the set, which is really just our better way of dealing with the Porygon 2. I'm very scared about that Pokemon, if you cannot tell. I mean, that's why we're so especially defensive. We can switch into that decently well and just be able to threaten it with the Close Combat. Obviously, they do have a couple of different switches, but nothing that really wants to take on the Great Tusk, because it is just a great Pokemon in any format, no matter what. But the last Pokemon on my team is going to be Kyurem Black, my second Uber here. We're just a very, standard substitute Dragonance loaded dice set. Once we get up a Dragonance, we're in a really good spot. Would have been nice to have Scale Shot on the set because, getting up to +2 would be able to outrun stuff like the Choice Scarf Dragapult potentially. But, at this point in time, I mean, I'm really just going to have to either get 2 Dragonances up or just get one and try to break through their team, break through something like the Blastoise that's defensive and stopping Fluttermane, break through potentially like the Fezandipity that's also defensive, stopping Fluttermane, stopping stuff like Iron Boulder. And this Pokemon is really mostly here for a wall breaker. I don't expect it to be in that sweeping position unless we get rid of Dragapult really early, and then the positions really flip on the team. Once that Dragapult is gone, my team absolutely just destroys them. It's the only thing on their squad that actually threatens me really, unless we let like something like Thunderous set up. Even Ogerpon, if that thing sets up, it can be a huge threat to me. But yeah, I feel really confident about this one. I'm focusing very offensively on it, focusing around Iron Boulder, Fluttermane, and Kyurem Black, which makes a lot of sense looking at my team comp. But those Pokemon, I mean, they're just going to have to put in a lot of work here. I expect their build to be a lot more defensive. Stuff like Blastoise, Hitmontop, Porygon, Fezandipity, even defensive Ogerpon are very solid, and then have that Dragapult to end up cleaning up. But hopefully I'm going to be able to play decently around it, and just not like a bunch of hazards get stacked on my team, not let my Pokemon go down super early. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoy the battle. I really enjoyed this one, and it was a great battle, so make sure you guys stick around to the end to see what happens. That's about it for me. See you in the battle. Alright, we are connected here to the Poke Professor. They do see a lot of stuff that we expected. The Hitmontop is not what we expected, but it's not too bad because we do not see Porygon 2. Which is great for us. They have Tera Fairy on their whatchamacallit, their Thunderous, so I'm a little bit nervous. Makes sense for the Great Tusk. I figured that they would run like maybe Terra Grass with Grass Knot for that. They do bring their 2 Ubers, as Dragapult counts here. I definitely expected to be a Choice Scarf on that Pokemon, and I could see an Ogerpon lead here to try to get up spikes versus my team. I do have decent spinning opportunities since I do have a Great Tusk in this game. And Palafin's not horrible. I mean, we do just have Corviknight that can always come out. Potential Defog on that Pokemon too, although I do not have Defog this week. I think we will just lead with the Palafin and probably hard out on anything that's not the let's see, what would I hard out on? I would hard out on Ogerpon. I think that's low-key the only thing I would go hard out on. Everything else I'd probably just flip turn. Maybe even do a little bit more. Since we are Assault Vest, we should probably be able to eat any one hit from the Thunderous or the Dialga. Assuming that Dialga is special. I assume they're going to be more like Draco sort of set. Thunderbolt, try to hit my my Corvi. But good luck, have fun. They're going to lead with the Ogerpon, which is fine with me. It's really not that big of a deal. They do read the Palafin lead. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. And we're just going to go hard out to Corviknight here. If they want to pull a double into their Thunderous, then that could be a good game plan from them. But I don't mind it too much. I mean, it's just the easiest switch of my life. They probably knock off or just click Spikes here. As they U-turn, that's also fine. I don't mind it at all. They probably go out to the Thunderous, and I might click Brave Bird in the face of that Pokemon, try to put it into range of Jet Punch. Let me see, what kind of damage do I need on it? Let's have Hero Palafin. We need about 50% on that Pokemon. My Corviknight does not do 50% unless they Tera this turn. So if they click the Tera Fairy button, then we do about 50%. They might predict me to switch. I think we just get the damage with our Brave Bird here. I'm just going to do it. I could definitely see them going for Tera Fairy this early. We're Waconberry as they click Psychic. So great. Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to get just a little bit of damage on this Pokemon. About 25 or so percent. As it looks like they have some sort of investment. Because we should have done 25 to 30. Or 26 to 30, really. And that did just 25%. So they have a little bit of HP. That makes sense. They can probably afford to run a little bit. And we probably just got a lower roll on that. I could also see them going for a T-Bolt here, but if we Brave Bird, it puts them in a range of Palafin Jet Punch most of the time. And I don't mind using this Pokemon for that. It's mostly here for the Dragapult, which is scary, but I have opportunities to roost later in the game. So they're going to T-Bolt into our Waconberry. That's fine. Yeah, it does a good chunk to me, but we do eat that Wakon. And we're going to get another Brave Bird off on this Pokemon. Put them under 50%, which is in Palafin range now. I might be able to go hard out the Palafin if I'm going to be completely honest, since we are Assault Vest on the set. I could see them going for... I don't think they Thunderbolt here. I really don't, so we're going to make the aggressive play. I think they click Psychic this turn. I really do, which will do nothing. Let's see if that's what they do. They might just T-Bolt again. No, they U-turn. So that's fine. I mean, very aggressive play from me, but works out for us. And they can probably go back out into Ogerpon here. They can U-turn again, put themselves in a similar situation. But Thunderous is in range of this Pokemon, so that's what matters. Even if they're like that 32, even if they're 100 HP, it should really be dying. It's about 45% or 49%. If they're like 100 HP, it's a 80% chance to OHKO. So let's see if we do see that Ogerpon. If they do bring out Ogerpon, I might make a pivot into something else. It's going to be Hitmontop. Hitmontop is going to get their Intimidate off. So I'm assuming this thing is more defensive. I mean, it makes a lot of sense in this matchup. I think we just flip turn here and get a decent amount of chip on this Pokemon. They could be Rocky Helmet, but I don't mind that too much. The HP on this Palafin is not that important. So we're going to get the nice flip. No Rocky Helmet. It looks like it's decently defensive. Built pretty defensively. I could definitely see it being a max defense. I'm not 100% sure if the damage indicates that. We could go Corvi here. It takes how much from close combat? It's a roll to die to close combat, and they should outspeed us if they have any investment. So I think you can just go out to Great Tusk. A triple axle will hurt, but it's not too big of a deal. I think we just go out to it. Close combat does a ton to them. I also really like the knockoff play. So they're going to CC. So at -1 defense, close combat should actually knock this Pokemon out. No. If they're max Phys Def, then it won't. I do think knock is a good play in this scenario. as I think they should switch. That did just over 100 damage. That looks like 0 attack. I'm going to click knock off this turn, as they do withdraw. If we see Dragapult, that would be insane for us. But it's just going to be Ogerpon. So this Pokemon might be Rocky Helmet. Let's see. We do a good chunk. We knock off a Yachi Berry. And that did 25-ish%. Just over, which looks very defensive to me. Maybe no speed. We'd still get outrun by this Pokemon. And I do feel like we see a U-turn this turn, but I don't know if I can risk switching out into my Corviknight and sacking that Pokemon off. Because if we get the Corviknight out ever in front of this Ogerpon, then we can roost up and be pretty solid. I actually think it makes a lot of sense for me to just close combat here. We shouldn't even die to an Ivy Cudgel since they're not invested. Yeah, they're 0 investment. I think we actually live. I kind of want to click knockoff again on this turn. I think I will. I think we see U-turn. They're going to spike up. I mean, I can rapid spin the next turn. That's no big deal. Yeah, I mean, they're just at 50% now. I'm going to go for the aggressive rapid spin, as they are Horn Leech. Yeah, we live that easily. And now we should outrun them. Even if they have a decent... Yeah, they're not going to be jolly, for sure. So we should be okay to outrun this Pokemon. And this turn, I do like the Corviknight switch here. I feel like we're not going to see a U-turn on this turn. I'm going to make the play. If they predict it, then it's a good play from them. I can't fault them for that. So we'll go hard out to Corviknight. Yeah, they just Horn Leech. And there's a good chance that they can just go out into the Thundurus. I think Roost makes a lot of sense from me. Try to get this thing healthy for the Dragonite or the Dragapult. I also could U-turn on this Pokemon, which will put me in a very demanding spot if I bring out something like the Flutter Mane that they have 0 switch into. I actually do quite like that. I think I'm gonna aggressively pivot because we can still bring this thing in on a potential Horn Leech and still Roost. So I'm gonna try to put myself in a better spot. Trying to articulate and think through my plays a little bit better in this game, because obviously the Roost is super free. But it just makes a lot more sense to go on the aggressive. Yeah, because a Flutter Mane should always be able to knock this Pokemon out. And I could even substitute on this turn. I don't think is a bad play. Predicting something like AV Toys to come in, I feel like could be solid. And we might be able to Calm Mind in its face. I don't know if they would be physical. I feel like they would be. I could also Psyshock this turn, which only catches them if they are AV switching into that Pokemon. Let me check out this Blastoise. I feel like this thing is going to be like Assault Vested. If they're max Spadef Assault Vest, then it's just about the same damage either way. So I'm just going to click Moonblast because it's a better neutral hit into their entire team. As we do see the Blastoise come out. I'm assuming this Pokemon has to be Assault Vested. It might just be regular Spadef. But no, that is max Spadef Assault Vest. A drop is actually pretty solid for us though, if they are if they're special. Which we'll be able to see as... Yeah, that's like, looks like a max roll from max Spadef Assault Vest. I'm going to make the Palafin pivot. Oh, I really want to, actually. But I think it makes a little bit more sense to click Substitute here. Because if they flip turn, they can't really bring out anything except for potential Scarf Pult. Which would put me in a tough spot. It would, I'm not going to lie. Scarf Pult would put me in a bad spot. So I could try to get damage on this Pokemon. Worst case scenario, what, they're like Liquidation, and they do just about 50% to me. I think I'm going to Moonblast one more time. Obviously, Psyshock makes a lot of sense, but I'm kind of conditioning them that I might be Choice Scarf. As their Hydro, this should not do very much. Yeah, it does not. And we're leftovers. That Hydro Pump did absolutely nothing. I have a free substitute here. I do think Flip Turn is very possible on this turn, but I'm chipping this thing down. It's probably in range of 2 Psyshocks at this point as well. Only thing I don't want to see is that flip, which is fine. They are going to break it. And they're probably going to go out to Dragapult, because that Pokemon should be Choice Scarfed 1,000,000% in this game. It also could be Scarf Dialga. And if they're Scarf Dialga, I think that's a little bit better for me, because I think that lets us get Palafin in and go for a nice Drain Punch versus their team. We could also even close combat, which might be enough to knock out the Ogerpon. So they go Hitmontop. I mean, this thing's obviously Bullet Punch, right? All right, we can obviously see that. I don't know if the right play should be to switch into potential Palafin here. Great Tusk is also fine. This Pokemon doesn't have that much longevity left in it. I think we're going to make the Great Tusk pivot. I do want to be able to Rapid Spin the spikes away eventually, but it's not that big of a deal if it goes down. As yeah, we see Bullet Punch. Does absolutely nothing to me. With the 0 attack investment, a Triple Axle definitely does knock me out. Yeah, Triple Axle 3 hits definitely does. A close combat is a roll from them. I also think it makes sense for me to close combat and to them try to get this thing chipped down pretty low, because that is stopping my Flutter Mane. What do we want to do here? It puts it into range of Palafin, so I think we'll go for the close combat here. Yeah, bring it down real low. Put us in a solid spot. And they can revenge kill me. Yep, they do go for close combat. That should be able to pick up the KO. But we can go out to Palafin here. And I think we can even Drain Punch versus this guy. I think we will make the Palafin play. What? If they're max Fizdef, Drain Punch does 23 minimum. They're at 25%. It's in our favor for this to knock it out. Is that the best play? I do feel like there's a very solid chance that they might want to go out to Ogerpon in this turn, keep this Hitmontop alive, so I'm going to Drain Punch. I think no matter what, I mean, this is just our best play. Close combat would be a good mid-ground as well, but yeah. Oh, they actually got to Thundurus. So they're basically sacking this Pokemon off. That's totally fine with me. I mean, they might make the pivoting play now and go out to their... They could go out to the Ogerpon now on this obvious Jet Punch. Do I want to call that? I kind of do. Like, how much do we do to an Ogerpon if they're max, like max-ish Fizdef? Drain Punch doesn't do that much. Close combat does a good chunk, though. Ah, man. It's really hard to make this play here. There's no way they're just sacking this Pokemon, right? I mean, maybe they just want that free switch to get their spikes up. I'll Jet Punch. Okay. So I make the right play. We take out Thundurus. And don't have to worry about that Tera Captain. That's a absolute menace for my team. But the Ogerpon comes in and it'll just click spikes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, this Pokemon is not that healthy at this point. They're Horn Leech as well. I think there's absolutely no way that they click Horn Leech this turn. Even so, we live every time on Horn Leech. And we get to see if we're faster here. Actually, at -1, we might not live. They do click Horn Leech. That's a crazy click versus me. I think that's absolutely crazy. I felt like U-turn made so much sense that turn. So we do a good chunk to this guy. Yeah, that is great. And the Corviknight, it's so obvious here. It's so obvious, but it's the right play every time. I don't want to risk my Palafin. They know that. Part of me wants to click Flip Turn this turn on the Dragapult coming out. How insane is that? They could also click Spike here. And if Palafin goes down, is it the end of the world? I do expect one of the Dialga or the other guy to be scarfed. Oh man. I feel like they have to Flip Turn here. They can't let Corviknight come in and roost for free. Okay, I'm gonna make the play. Yeah, they set up spikes. Okay. So we're gonna get out to Corviknight. We don't have any hazard removal anymore. But that Pokemon is in range of Jet Punch now. Jet Punch from Palafin should be able to kill the Ogerpon now. We get to go out to Corvi here. We always should live any one hit. If they're saving knockoff for me, it's a roll. So they might be able to knock me out with it. We've seen Horn Leech, U-turn, spikes. I mean, they could have knockoff. Oh wait, I'm in Palafin. I'm not even looking at the right Pokemon. No, we always live every single time because they're no attack. Even if they have a little bit of attack, we should be able to live. Like 32 attack investment is not enough to be able to knock us out. So unless there's some sort of adamant variant, yeah, they're just gonna U-turn. And the U-turn did 13. So they do have, that's just a low roll for no attack. And as they do send out Dialga. Okay. I am worried about this thing potentially being a Fire Blast or Thunder. Does Fire Blast knock me out from this range? It actually never does. And we get a very nice body press on this Pokemon. It'll just do a good amount of damage. Eventually, I want to see if this thing is scarfed or not. If they go for Fire Blast this turn, then I have a solid opportunity to switch out to Palafin. So they're just T-Bolt. We do live. They do a ton of damage as they are Chople. That's fine. Chople Berry Body Press did absolutely nothing to them. I still can keep this Pokemon alive and around if I want. And I don't hate the switch hard out to Kyurem because they shouldn't go for a Dragon move here. And if I go hard out to Kyurem, I'm always outspeeding this Pokemon. Icicle Spear probably does not quite knock them out though. What about Boulder? If I go hard out to Boulder, click Terra Ground Earthquake, it probably would. I would love to keep Corvi around. It's very good, but their defensive Pokemon are just so low at this point. I'll click U-turn, as they're just gonna click T-Bolt again. That's fine. I think after that damage, we can go out to our Terra Ground Boulder. Right? I'm really worried about the Scarf Pult in the back. I'm convinced that that Pokemon is Scarfed. Do we knock out Blastoise? Blastoise, they're like max HP. I think we do knock them out with Terra Ground Earthquake. So we'll go out to Boulder here. I should be able to take out this Dialga. We get our booster up. Yeah, they're definitely in range. If they're not bulky at all. We'll go for the Terra Ground EQ. They don't have a switch in. They might want to sack off the Ogerpon or something like that. But we don't need the speed on this Pokemon if they're not Choice Scarf Dragapult. Or if they're if they are Scarf Dragapult, I should say. We outspeed everything else on the team naturally. besides the Pult. Yeah, I think they just sack this Pokemon. Pretty sure this guy goes down. We do 78 min. If they're no bulk. I don't think they're Fizz Death at all. This is a pretty good chance to knock it out no matter what. Yes, we do. Perfect. That's awesome. That is great. Okay, if Dragapult comes out and it is Choice Scarfed, which I do expect it to be, they don't knock us out with the Dragon Darts or Phantom Force or anything like that. They're going to send out the Hitmontop. Get that Intimidate off on me. That's totally fine. I don't mind that. I really want to click Swords Dance here. Click that funny button, but I don't want to get a triple axle to the face. So I'm just going to EQ. If they Bullet Punch, I definitely should have made the Swords Dance play. But it's not that big of a deal. I'm still worried about losing to Pult, as they're going to withdraw. Sack off Ogerpon, potentially. Yep, sack off the Ogerpon. Yeah, they knew this Pokemon was going to be a threat for them. If they go back out into the Hitmontop, I might just have to attack. Do we die here? I'm really curious. Boulder, Terra Ground to Ogerpon. They're no attack, Horn Leech. It does a good chunk. I don't think it puts us in range of a Bullet Punch. So I could Swords Dance here if I really wanted to. That would put us at +1. Horn Leech never knocks me out from this range. So I'm going to make the play. Because if they're not Scarf Dragapult, then I think this will just be able to seal the deal. So I do Horn Leech. Yep, we live. And now we're +1 Mighty Cleave versus them. With booster speed. We do 84 min. Or I guess that's to no defense. But even if this thing is defense invested. Mighty Cleave knocks him out. Yep. And we should always be living Hitmontop. More defensive, not technician. No attack. Even a Mach Punch, we should... Mach Punch we might not live. Bullet Punch, we should. Bullet Punch, I think we're guaranteed to. So we'll see what they end up going out to. They do go to Pult. So is this thing... Is it going to be the funny Scarf? That's what we get to see here. As they are. Makes a ton of sense into my team. I mean, Palafin doesn't even do very much into it at this point, which is annoying. I knew this thing was going to be Choice Scarf. Shadow Ball doesn't even do very much into my Palafin. I also can go out to Kyurem. And if I'm able to get up 2 Dragon Dances, then the game is just over. Actually, 2 Dragon Dances, we don't even outspeed max speed Scarf. But I will go out to Kyurem here. We will go out to it. Wish I was Scale Shot on the set now. Do I Icicle Spear here? I think we just Dragon Dance. I think I always DD. We never get to it KO'd by Shadow Ball. Even if they drop, I don't think we should. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. And to drop, it does like 80-some%. It'll bring us down to what, like 200-ish. It can be pretty close if they drop on this first one. Especially if they are modest. But if they're modest, then that's fine. If they're modest, then we just need 2 DDs and then the game's over. I'd love to see them go out to the Blastoise here. It could be Roar Blastoise though. And if it's Roar Blastoise, that does put us in a little bit of a pickle. This is gonna be Hitmontop. which is kind of what I expected. Him on top, we're just going to get Dragon Dance off, so we're going to be +1 speed versus this guy. Icicle Spear always knocks them out. Mach Punch does a ton to me, if that's what they choose to go for. I do think I just click Icicle Spear. If I had Scale Shot, the game would be just over, basically. Really wish I had it on this set, as they are Mach Punch. It's a good amount of damage. We're going to pick up the KO. And if they lock themselves into a dragon move, then, man, I might have to make some predicts. I feel like they have to go out to their Dragapult. And if they lock themselves into a dragon move on my switch to Flutter Mane, I think I win. Kira might not be able to eat another hit after the spike. Dragapult. Okay, Dragapult, Shadow Ball after a spike. If I'm at 241. It does not KO. I'm going to make the hard, aggressive play out to Flutter Mane here. If they predict that and click the Shadow Ball, then I might just lose. So it all comes down to here. We'll see what they click. Do they Shadow Ball? Nope, they Dragon Pulse. Perfect. That's awesome. That is great. This thing might be Infiltrator. I don't think it makes sense. Oh, actually, I could Calm Mind. If I Calm Mind up at +1 Spadef, I should be able to eat a Shadow Ball. This Blastoise. I'm just curious if we can knock out Assault Vested Blastoise at +1 special attack. It doesn't look like it, but I don't think they put us in range anyways. I think we click Calm Mind this turn. Yeah, the Blastoise comes out. We're clicking Calm Mind. This thing is just above 50%. What do I want to click here? Flip Turn obviously hurts and puts me in range of Shadow Ball. Maybe that was the wrong play. Do I Moonblast? Do I Psyshock? I could also Calm Mind again, but if they Flip Turn... man. Let me do these calcs. Flip Turn will do just about 90 damage to me. So put me at 110. If I'm at +2 versus Dragapult, clicking Shadow Ball, I actually should be able to live another one. I Calm Mind again. And if they click Roar, then I think I'm fine here, because I go out to the Kyurem as they Flip Turn. Okay, we're at 110. We should always live a Shadow Ball. If they are modest, max special attack, after Leftovers, I should live every time. After Leftovers, I always live. I'm at 128. Yep. Alright, we Moonblast here. I think Flutter Mane is going to be able to take it home. Come on. Let's not see that. Okay, perfect. We do live. We get the Moonblast off. The Dragapult goes down. And then the Blastoise comes in. Versus this Blastoise. Will +2 be able to knock them out with Psyshock? They're going to be just over 50%. I think it does. Psyshock does 49 to 58. It looks like they're maybe closer to 55 on this. So I can make a switch if I really wanted to. I could go Kyurem. Does Kyurem lose me the game ever? If they're like Shell Smash out of nowhere? I don't think they can ever knock out my Kyurem. I just want to preserve Diff. You know what? I'm going to win the game. I'm going to guarantee to win the game. I'm not going to care about Diff. I'm going to Side Shock. We might even pick up the KO here. As we don't, we just miss on it. They're going to flip turn, pick up the KO on my Flutter Mane, and then we're just going to go into, what do we want to get the kill here? Do I want Palafin or do I want Kyurem? I think we're going to get Kyurem. Might as well. Get Kyurem involved in this game a little bit more than it was. Should always outspeed this Pokemon because we are max. We can just click Icicle Spear versus them. I could also click Fusion Volt. It's 100% accurate. We just click it, and we take a 2-0 victory over the Pokemon Professor. Had to play it a little bit safer. I mean, I could have made the hard pivot out to Kyurem to preserve that diff, but I think just on the off chance that they like had Hyper Beam and crit me, and I could have ended up losing the game like that, I didn't want anything like that to happen. So, you know, take the roll, didn't get it, doesn't matter. We're going to take a 2-0 victory over a really great battler. You guys better check them out along with all the other KCDL coaches. Their link should be in the description, but we're off to a great start. I'm trying to refresh myself on Wi-Fi. I feel like if you've seen a couple of the recent videos, I've been raging a little bit, kind of playing a little bit more recklessly. So today I had to, you know, slow it down, make sure I played a really nice solid game, and I think we did versus them. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. If you guys did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace out.